get my hair to look really sexy. Hunter, don't include that.
It would be good to include that, Hunter.
Don't listen to her. Wait, she pays the bills. Oh no. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Morgan and Angie from The Shift, and today we are talking about, are you afraid to step out of the family mold? And this is something me and Angie are super passionate about talking about because we've worked with clients for a long time, and we see this pattern over and over again where people, they want to take their life in a different direction. Maybe it's changing religions, like I've talked about with my past, or maybe it's changing jobs or a different political affiliation or whatever it may be. And if you feel like your family is going to judge you or reject you for that change, you may end up feeling very suppressed and kind of stuck in the box of whatever family mold your family has set up for you. And so we're super excited to talk to you about that today. Angie, do you have some initial thoughts you want to share?
Well, let's see. When I was growing up, I grew up in this really small town called Wharton, Illinois, and it was a poor town. Now, there's some parts of the town that are a little more affluent, but back then, I mean, it was very, and still is probably, I don't want to say poor, but just, lower economic means. And, and I don't want to offend anybody that lives in Wharton. Here I am being a people pleaser about that. But the thing is, when we're growing up as children, we don't know, right? We just know what we're in. We don't question it or think about it or anything like that. But when I think about it now, the family paradigm that I grew up in was one of really hard work. Like my mom was always working, always being busy. And the message was, if you slow down and you rest, that you're being lazy. And she didn't really say this so much. It was more about, well, it's pretty outside. Why aren't you outside? Mm-hmm. So that was my mom. And then my dad, he was also a hard worker. He was always working. And I grew up into somebody who is preoccupied probably with work. And then not only that, but the belief behind that, or the belief coupled with that, which is it's not easy to make money, and you're going to have to struggle, and you're going to have to work really hard in order to have money with ease. And that doesn't even make sense. To have money, it's not with ease.
Right. I love those examples you brought up, and it's so true. The interesting thing about this is that our families set up the way we view the world, right? And they give us a certain view of the world, and it may or may not be the truth, right? So the example you brought up with your family paradigm was like, you have to work your butt off in order to have a good income. And it's like, but you and I, we're in this coaching industry. What we see is that there's a way to live a lifestyle that you really love and to bring money into your life with ease and grace without having to kill yourself working so many crazy hours, right? And so, that stepping away from that family paradigm, that might have been hard for you, and it could be hard for other people, because sometimes that family paradigm just feels like reality. You know what I mean?
Well, just when I became an entrepreneur and I left my corporate AT&T job, like they thought I was crazy. I know my mom did. And she was so sweet. My mom's really sweet, but she would say, are you sure you don't want to go find another accounting job? And
right,
I'm like, no, Mom, like, I don't care about accounting. Now, I was let go. It was a corporate downsizing. So that was my saving grace, that I didn't leave on my own volition, but I didn't relocate to Chicago, but anyway, that I put up with a lot, as far as like, there was some pressure, and it was very subtle pressure to conform to the job mentality, Yeah.
I love that example. Like, and I know I've talked in the past, like, I grew up in a very strict religion, and because of that, kind of straying from that breaking that family norm was something that was really hard to do because my beliefs just weren't in alignment with that religion anymore. I was like, this isn't how I view the world. This just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
And breaking away from that was really, really hard, because it's like, this is the family rule. Everyone needs to be part of this church community. And there was a lot of, kind of judgment, and there was a lot of, it was just hard. Like, it was hard to kind of rebuild those connections again. And things are much better now, but what, in whatever way we're trying to step out of the mold and do something different than the way our family does it, it can be really, really hard.
Takes a lot of courage, doesn't it? I mean, to
It
do something
does.
different from the programming we've received since we were babies, you know?
Yeah, and there's so much beauty though in starting to question, like, am I doing this thing in my life because it's a family paradigm, it's a family pattern that's been set up for me, or am I doing this thing for me? And it's something we're not taught to ask ourselves, but it's incredibly powerful when you start to ask yourself that. Um, one family paradigm me and Jared have shifted a lot recently too is around our health and our eating.
Mhm.
Like, my family, we grew up just not eating very healthy, and neither did his family. And part of that was, it was a money thing. Like, they were trying to save money, so they'd make a lot of cheap meals and stuff. And that's fine, totally honoring that, right? But I realized it was a mental game to be like, no, like, we can cook and make good, tasty, healthy food. And it felt like, I don't know, it just felt hard to do because there's this part of your brain that's like, oh, that's not who I am.
Right.
And you got to fight that at first, but
You
then
do.
you kind of reestablish this new view of yourself.
And you develop that habit, and then it becomes second nature, just like anything. But the initial establishment of that habit, there's like a big thing to, I don't know what to compare it to, but imagine like a big concrete wall that
Wow.
here I am, and then on the other side of that concrete wall is a new habit. And to start is the hardest part, and to just break through that concrete wall, that's what it feels like sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
But then once we get through that wall, then we're onto a new habit. So the hard part is starting. It really is. That's good
Totally.
news, you know?
So true, so true. And Angie and I, we love, and I think this is where we really shine in helping people like you move forward from these things, because we're very good at helping you pick out these family dynamics and how they're keeping you stuck, and giving you tools on how to let go of that and really figure out what you want. So if you want to learn more about that, join our Facebook group, because we'd love to support you more in there. It's called The Shifters Women's Holistic Empowerment. Yeah, so I think our final tip for you guys today is that it take time and just start looking at the decisions in your life, and deciding, like, am I doing this because it's a family paradigm? And if I am, is it a healthy one?
Mm-hmm.
Angie, you've told me the example of a client that wanted to lose weight, right? And did you want to share that example?
Just that her whole family, when she grew up, she had an overweight mother, overweight sisters, aunts. Okay. So all these people in her life were reflecting back this image of obesity and overweightness, right? And it was part of her identity. It was enmeshed in her. And until she started to change that image of what was possible, and that it's okay to move outside of that paradigm. I'm not going to be abandoning my family if I do that. I think that's really important to know. Then she was able to lose the weight or release the weight, because Morgan mentioned that we will give you tips and tools and stuff like that, and we will. The other thing that we'll give you is permission. Not that we have to give you permission, but sometimes just having someone say, it's okay to change out of that family paradigm. It doesn't make you a bad person or selfish. That's the current way to control. And so we give you permission, and we set up a role modeling of, hey, we're doing it and we're good people. I think we're good people. And so you can do it too.
That's so beautiful. I love that example about that client you had because it's one of those things where it's a perfect example of she wanted to get healthier, right? She just wanted to get healthier and have a body that was thinner, and there's nothing wrong with that desire. And but the family paradigm was obesity, right?
Right.
And and for her to be able to say, like, she was able to look at that, and say, okay, maybe this isn't a healthy family paradigm. And the more we can do that in our lives, the more we can look at our family paradigms and what am I doing to try to stay in the family paradigm box, and is it healthy, right? Because if
Right.
you're not being your best and healthiest you, then it's not a good family paradigm to keep hanging on to, which,
Right.
again, easier said than done, but if you can start looking, it can make all the difference. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts about your family paradigms and which ones you're seeing maybe aren't the healthiest for you to continue. And don't forget to join us in our awesome Facebook group where we can support you there. It's called The Shifters Women's Holistic Empowerment. Thanks, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.